Hello, I'm Guy Kawasaki. This is the Remarkable People podcast. No, it's not. We're
It's behind
live.
the podcast.
We're
Behind it.
live on social media.
That's right.
It's, it's the three podcasteers. It is duh. It's Jeff, Guy, and Pig.
That's
So
right.
Jeff is in Texas, God's country.
Mhm.
Don't mask with Texas. Peg is in New Hampshire, home of the free, and Guy's in Santa Cruz, home of the surfer. And this week's guest is Chris Messina. Chris Messina is perhaps, well, at least initially widely known because, believe it or not, he invented the convention called the hashtag. So imagine if somebody had not figured out a hashtag and we'd all be searching for God knows what word on social media looking for content. But he invented it. So, but he's done much more than that. Now he's a little bit of a venture capitalist. He also is the most prolific product hunter on Product Hunt, meaning that he's brought the most products to the forefront of attention on Product Hunt. And what have you guys got to say, Jeff and Peg?
Well, first of all, that if you haven't checked out this product, it's really good, especially if you're a techie, any sort of, wanting to know how things worked. I was really surprised on how much behind the scenes they were talking about how to hashtag, that's him, Chris Messina, taking it to Twitter. So if you haven't listened to it yet, make sure you hold up your smart device right up to the screen here, turn on your camera, and then click the link that comes up and download and listen to it. And while you're there, give us a follow and a rating and review if you would be so kind, because this is a really good episode. Really, really, especially if you're like tech or entrepreneur and wanting to know how Product Hunt works, it's really, really good.
And Peg and I discovered that this podcast is on Amazon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I put it there.
Audible. Yeah, it's on Audible. Jeff already knew that.
I put
But
it
if
there.
you're an Audible listener, you can add Remarkable People to your Audible and it will automatically update the episodes for you. So we just want you to know that there's a lot of ways to find this podcast.
Mm-hmm. We're like Smog.
You can't
Hopefully
get away
not
from
like
it.
Smug, but
Yeah,
more like your favorite aunt.
right. Well,
We're like an STD. We're everywhere.
here's the here is the icebreaker question. What tech do you use daily? That's real. I think I know what Guy uses, but I would. This is even maybe do a little twist on this. Like, what tech, if broke, would you go out the next day and buy? Guy, what about you?
Well, right now, I have to tell you, we're in this very awkward situation where I'm iPadless and
How
I
did
did
that
something.
happen?
Yeah, well, it's a long story, but I'm iPadless and I did something so stupid. I'm embarrassed to admit that I caused water damage in my wife's phone. It was so stupid.
Oh,
So now she and I are sharing one phone, and that is a
uh-oh.
challenge. And so the phone is in process of being swapped out, and I can't find any place where I can buy a 13 Pro
Mm.
because I would just go buy. I have come to the conclusion that our family needs to have a spare iPhone just sitting for situations where a phone is broken, cracked, or lost. We cannot go without one phone per person.
Mm.
Hmm.
What about you, Peg?
Definitely my phone. But I have to say, I have iPads sitting all over that I just don't even
Well, send me
use.
one.
That's horrible.
I
I
love
have
my
like
iPad.
I have the iPad Pro that Canva sent me that that's got that huge screen on it.
What?
Um,
Wait, what? What? Canva sent you an iPad?
mhm. when they
When?
what You knew that it was so long ago. You
Oh,
actually told them to send me one. It was a long time
I-
ago. It
oh,
was when they were working on some features that worked with the iPad.
oh.
Mm.
You mean when Canva was just worth a couple billion?
Yeah, you said
They may have only been worth 500 million. I
yeah,
mean, I don't
just
even know
that
if they
pocket
weren't even a
change.
unicorn yet. They were like still a shiny pony.
Yeah.
They're pony.
So
Um, so definitely my phone. I mean, I feel like there's so much on there. You're like, you check your calendar, you check all this stuff. I don't have an Apple Watch, which I wish I could use one, but I'm one of those rare people that had like the feedback from it. But I feel like that would have been a useful thing. So I would definitely say my phone, and other technology, I mean, obviously computers, but the other day, Rich and I were talking about like what it was like before you had to be on the computer all the time. It would be great to have a job where you weren't at a computer all the time,
Yeah.
but those are rare these days.
You
So
could work for cyber ninjas. You don't have
And
to be
just
on
do
a
mind
computer.
control, or what is
right
that?
You don't even need to know how to count.
Oh, well, I
there
do
you
know how
go.
to count, so,
Just
but
not live. We don't count live. One because I will hit the wrong button. One of the so we have some interesting ones here that I wouldn't think about, but somebody said food delivery, which I thought was I didn't even think about that one. Jonathan says he'd buy a Chromebook, and let's see here. Dad Vice TV says I couldn't get through a day without my iPad Pro and iPhone. I tend to only use my computer at a few times a week. Wow.
Really?
So that's
wow.
great.
Wow.
I try not to do all my work on my phone because it's just so bad for your eyes.
Yeah.
Unless, I mean, my latest glasses I did get blue light blocking in my regular glasses.
Yeah.
Um,
That's what I have.
yeah.
I would say I'm kind of with Dad Advice TV that I mean, I think everybody's phone, if their phone went gone, I think most people would say that would be the first thing. But I would go out the next day if my iPad Pro went, because I use it to consume content. I type on it. I edit videos, all sorts of things. And then my watch. I just love both of those things to death.
You type on your iPad Pro on the screen, or you have a Bluetooth keyboard?
I have one of those. It's not the Apple keyboard because I didn't like the way it did. It's the Logitech one that has the removable one that's really handy. And then your pencil goes right on top of that. The new Apple Pencil, I think, is amazing. The version 2. It's just, one, it charges and it sits right up there perfectly. You never have to have it like loose like this one. But
it always should have been that way.
and because the way you charge, you just stick it in and it just looks like it's going to break off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just don't like that.
Yeah.
But the new one, the sensitivity for drawing and all sorts of stuff is amazing.
It was a very inelegant design. You could tell Steve Jobs was not involved at all with it being plugged into the bottom and sticking out. It was like the ugliest thing I've ever seen from Apple.
Stupid. It was like a colostomy. I mean, it was.
Well, what were you going to say, Guy, about just
Well,
that was...
Speaking of great pencils, I mean, the Remarkable tablet has the best pencil, right?
Yeah,
you don't need
is
to
good.
charge it, and it feels like a pencil because you are actually physically wearing out the nib, and you can erase just by flipping it around, just like a pencil. So that is the most amazing pencil.
There's just sticks on the side on the Remarkable 2.
Yeah.
It's very nice that it's just connected.
Yeah. So Jonathan says he lived without a cordless phone for a long time. There's joy in untangling a phone cord. I'll trade my phone away.
I miss a regular phone, I gotta say.
Remember when you used to go around and hide around the corner where your parents couldn't see you when you were talking to probably to Rich. Is probably what it was.
My mom was never home, so it was pretty much my sister and I are fighting over who got to use the phone.
Paul says the Remarkable tablet is great for research sessions. So
shout out to my sister if you're watching.
What does your sister do?
My sister works in technology as well. She works for a home security company.
Oh.
So my sister is very techie. When phones were like regular phones were a thing, she actually took it all apart to see how it worked and got it back together, which is important.
Nice.
That's cool. So back to our podcast episode today is Chris Messina. If you haven't heard him before, Guy talked about it a little bit at the very, very beginning that he is Product Hunt. And one of our questions is, have you ever used Product Hunt? I used to use it a lot when I was doing research for Social Media Examiner because we would always have to have apps for his podcast, and we'd have to be like, what apps? And we'd always use Product Hunt for that. I haven't used it much since then, but I have gone in there a couple times. It's a really cool idea in the way that it works.
I just use Peg Hunt. When Peg says try this app, I try it.
It takes a lot to get me to try an app these days, though, to be honest. Like, I'm so like married to my ways. I have to say there still isn't one way to do everything that you want to do with social media. It's like sometimes you just want things to do X and it does a lot of other things. So you're always making a choice on which thing works. But I do think that I've never actually searched on Product Hunt for things, but I have left reviews for companies I know Canva has used Product Hunt. I think I saw 3 times. They did it for an initial one so long ago, like nobody knew what Product Hunt was, except for probably Chris Messina. And they did it for a couple other updates. So you can do it for updates to your apps as well. But I think that it is a place where you can go and read people's reviews. It's a little bit like Amazon, where you know that people are asking for their super fans to write the reviews. So
Kind of like we are
what do you mean?
for our podcast.
Right. But I mean, I think we also get other reviews too that will say, I think honest reviews are best, regardless if you ask for them or not. I have a hard time with that with books. I never leave bad reviews for books. I just won't leave a review if it's not my favorite book, because I think it hurts the author so much. And I know how bad reviews feel for a book. So if it's not my favorite, I just don't leave a bad review. But if it's great, then I will leave a review.
On a prior episode of Remarkable People, Bob Cialdini, the godfather of influence, said that the ideal average score for a book or a podcast is 4.4, 4.5, 4.6. Because if it's 5, it looks like you just stacked the deck. And obviously you don't want a low score. So the score that is, kind of credible is about 4.5 or 4.4.
Right.
Which, if you look at our score, is 4.4.
Perfect.
There we go.
Right on track. We've been getting a lot of new reviews in too. So thank you, people who are going to leave reviews.
Yes. Thank you so much. And if you need some help doing that, you can just go right here with your smartphone. And boom.
I have a plug for a product service that I just experienced, and I am just so impressed with the quality of it. And so we're in the middle of moving, and there's this company called Pods.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So it's this container thing, and they come to wherever you want. They drop it off. You load it up. They pick it up, and then they can either store it until your new house is ready or new apartment is ready, or they can ship it across the country, or they meet you at your new house. They drop it off, and then you unload, and then they pick it up. And I had to meet one yesterday, and the guy was, the service window was 9 to 12, and he was there at 8:30. And I didn't expect him to be there at 8:30, so I got there at like 8:45. So I pull into the driveway, and he's already got the thing loaded, rocking and rolling and ready to go. I was so impressed. So if you have to move stuff or store stuff temporarily, check out Pods, mypods.com.
Yeah, a lot of people love Pods, used them for a long time ago, and just got a quote for my upcoming relocation to Detroit. Yeah, so I know a lot of people use them. A lot of people will also use them for remodels. They'll put like the stuff that they need in there, and they'll do that because you don't have room or whatever. So yeah, great.
Maybe I'll put one of my kids in there.
Yeah, that's where my mother-in-law's going if she ever ends up here.
The Pod people, you're gonna get it, Jeff.
Yeah.
If Jody listens to this show randomly.
Yeah, maybe. She could be. She's at school right now.
I'm sure our biggest fans for our live show are Beth
and Jody. Yeah, and Rich and Jody.
They're probably can't wait to watch it.
Yeah. So where do you guys go find new tools? So we mentioned Product Hunt, which is a lot of us have used. I still get stuff from AppSumo because they usually have things that they're, affiliates with or whatever. But I found some good stuff on AppSumo. I mean, I love since I use stock photos so much, they always have a deal for like deposit photos, which I use all the time. Awesome. Yeah. So
one of my favorite things is that Guy actually showed me, because I used something on there, but the Set app I love, because you pay one thing and then there's all these apps in there.
Oh, you told me about that.
For your Mac. Yeah, I love it. Text Soap is the one that Guy loves. CleanShot X I use. And then there's one called Text Sniper that you can highlight text, and it actually copies the text off of like anything on the internet, and then you can just grab it. So that's cool. One that I like. Usually Guy, like I said, we recommend we recommend them. We're like, try this thing.
No, I just want people to understand Text Sniper. Let's say you have, it's a sign, it's a bitmap. It's, it's not selectable text, but what Text Sniper does is you just draw your rectangle around it, and it translates unselectable text to text. It's really quite remarkable. It works so well.
Does it work on your mobile device too, or is it just on desktop?
I think it's just Mac apps.
Yeah, I think it's just Mac apps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
if you if you have a Mac, you should have that because it has Clean My Mac in there, which is essential.
Yeah. Peg, I was using CleanShot till about a few days ago. I cannot figure out that, like, when is it on my clipboard? When isn't it on my clipboard? Do I have to save as? And then when I save as, do I have to use preview to open it? And I just went back to the Apple system of Command Shift 4
really?
Command. Yeah.
The reason that I like the CleanShot X is that it has a little thing where you can capture a scrolling capture. So when I'm creating a report that has like a longer thing in it and I want a different size graphic, you can scroll through the website and like so if it's out of the top thing. So there's some use cases that I like for that.
Real men. So we should ask the question, what is your favorite Macintosh screen capture app? Because I'm looking for one.
I use
that one is good.
What is the one I use? Snipply? Is that it?
I think I used to use that one.
It's in my toolbar.
I like it. It just stays up in the top menu bar.
I got it for being a speaker at a conference, and I've used it ever since. So.
That's nice.
Yeah, so I love.
You're
free
highly
stuff.
compensated.
I love free stuff. Just like it was like that. Give somebody that, or get Guy Kawasaki.
I'm totally
it was the same.
there for an app.
Yeah.
It was that or $75,000.
Yeah. So this
I would do one speech a year. If I made $75,000, I would be like, "You are the chosen one, and I will come here
every
and
time.
The rest of the time, I'll be home."
No, I thought it was nice. It was a sold speaker bag thing. I thought it was good. I love free software. So here's and Peg, I want you to explain this one. This was your question. So, did you watch the movie The Social Dilemma? Why is this important compared for this podcast episode?
Because Chris Messina is in The Social Dilemma. And our previous guest, Tim Kendall, was also in The Social Dilemma. And I feel like this movie came out, made a huge splash, and people kind of forgot about it. And I still feel like it's a really important topic because of the way that your data is being used and the choices that we're making to be on the internet. What are the ramifications of that? Like, where's your data going? TikTok, for example, there's the big thing about TikTok and them gathering all your data, and everybody is still on TikTok. They were worried it was going to be taken away, but not worried that their data was being sold or used in weird ways. So yeah. I feel like The Social Dilemma really pointed out a lot of good things, and the people that were in it were all very entrenched in tech, like Chris Messina, who just knows all those, Tristan, and it was all people who were involved at highest levels. Tim Kendall worked at Facebook he started the monetization program. So how is Facebook going to make money before they were making any money? He worked on how that was going to happen. And then after that, he went to Pinterest and worked on there. He ended up being the CEO or president. He ended up working, he's the highest level, but he started out at the same thing, working with like advertising and monetization. So two of the biggest tech companies, he obviously knows how stuff is being used. Right. So The Social Dilemma, I'm interested to know, did people watch it? Did they watch it once when it came out? Did they not care? What's up with that?
I watched it. I think I did not remember Chris Messina being in there. But this is the interesting thing. Okay, so it's very scary, especially if you're like us and we work in marketing and social media. It's like, oh, we're part of the problem. But then what Apple's doing, and so I think it has to do with how seamless people can opt out of their data, because they're saying that everybody's hitting yes, quit tracking my stuff. Like nobody's going, yes, Facebook, please track me. They just right. Don't do that. And I think it's the seamless way that it's built into the interface that Apple has done. So I think if we want privacy, we've got to make it super easy for people to opt out. And I think that's going to happen more and more, like what's going on, like I just had to do it on my website, update all those cookie permissions and, the terms of service. And California is different than the European Union and all this stuff. And so I think we're going to get a standard before too long, and it'll just be blanket. So hopefully.
Yeah, well, the GDPR was the strictest, and California was a little bit different because you can't keep anybody's data. And
Right.
but if you don't have anything like that on your website, it's important that you do, especially if you're doing any kind of tracking like Google
Pixels. Yeah.
Analytics. Yeah, pixels. So, yeah, I mean, the thing is, those things are annoying. So you're trying to look at a website and then it pops up. It's like, do you accept or not accept? And it's like, what happens if you don't accept? Do you not see parts of it? It's never clear what really happens.
Right. So Jonathan says people love to be tracked. Look at Disney's magic bands. People line up and pay to be tracked. So
I think they don't have magic bands, or do they still have them?
They did for a long time. They are phasing them out, but they're still tracking you because they're even with the new Genie
magic
system.
Band?
It's
the Disney Magic Band is the greatest invention ever if you're a Disney person. It's just like the Apple Watch, but it's just for Disney. So you get everybody in your family gets a little band, and then you use it to go on the rides.
To get
you can use it in the stores.
Fast Pass, you can put your credit card on it.
And our girls figured out that it was connected to their dad's credit card. So they were like at the store, ching, ching.
Is this a recent development? Because I never had a magic band at Disney.
I don't know.
It was
if
the
they
last
did
couple
it
of
at
years.
Disneyland. They did them at Disney World.
They are moving to something new though now.
Yeah, they got rid of Fast Passes.
They're still tracking you though. Now everything's moving to your mobile app, so they're still tracking you. So they came out with a new Genie Plus and a new Fast Pass stuff, and so it's the same way on the cruise ships. It's just they're doing it because they can track. It's the same reason like all these stores are wanting you to use their apps, and they give you all these discounts. Like even McDonald's will give you a free hamburger if you use their app.
Or they have Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
The stores, they have Wi-Fi. You use our free Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
We'll see every aisle you went in and how long you stayed there. Sure, Target.
And so what? No, seriously. So what if they know that?
As long as I get a free hamburger, I don't care.
Maybe so what? Or maybe I don't know. I mean, the thing with Target is they have an app and then they have this Circle program that you're part of. And you have to go in and manually add the coupon to get it instead of just giving you X amount when you scan your little thing. So their thing is kind of malarkey.
Yeah. I have to say that, so I love cars, right? So I'm always reading car reviews. And as soon as I start reading car review of, I don't know, the Volvo V60 T8 or S60 T8, then all of a sudden, Google News starts sending me more reviews of the Volvo S60 T8, including from the Hindustan Times and the Malaysia Today, right? And I kind of like that. I would never have found that review in the Hindustan Times. So track me, baby.
Well,
I think it depends on if you're a shopper or not. If you're somebody who likes to shop, I think the chaser ads don't bother you as much because they're showing you more of what you like, which is Pinterest. The more I pin things that I like and pin things other places, the more Pinterest sends me more things that I like.
I found some great software and tools and stuff from Instagram. They have some of the best algorithms for ads that I think is, I wish Facebook would do it on their desktop because, I'm getting stuff that's relevant to me that I'm interested in, like video editing stuff, new tools, all that stuff. And it's very, very well done. And it doesn't bother me like Facebook ads does.
I get all makeup.
So we got to help Jonathan. He says, Target is killing my marriage. So,
I'm sorry.
Don't say the T word around Jonathan.
If you do something bad, Jonathan, you know what gift card to get.
What did that guy say about pods?
Oh, so, yes. He says pods are awesome. Yeah, he used them last month. And he said they were originally, the guy came up with the idea because they were like boat yards. So, yeah. So, very cool.
Yeah, it is.
Your belongings swinging from chains on an RC car. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly. In fact,
look like the carriers from boats.
Yeah.
If you go to my Instagram account, I posted a short video of the pod guy removing the pod from his truck, or was he adding it or something? I have a little video, Pods in Action. I like that company so much.
That's cool. So now he's evangelist for pods.
I want to be a brand ambassador for pods.
So Paul says Pinterest is a great algorithm for finding stuff that he likes. Yeah, I agree.
Right.
And he doesn't mind the targeted ads. There's a lot of targeted ads now on Pinterest, but they are very, very targeted.
Okay. So this is a question I know Peg can answer. All right. So as you know, we just got a new house. And so we need to buy a lot of stuff. And I used to, years ago, which is a long time ago when we bought our other house, I would go to House, Housz, I think. And there are so
ZZ.
great ideas, right? Like everywhere. And now you go to House and it seems like it's one big directory of interior decorators as opposed to getting ideas. So did I miss something? Did House just completely change what it is?
It did change it. It doesn't show you as much like what you want. I actually have better luck on Pinterest.
Yeah.
I
I've
kind
been
of
to
did
House
a
forever.
style. You do a style quiz and then you look for a specific thing. Like
Mm.
I want to redo the hood over we have a Viking range and I want
Mm-hmm.
to do like a custom hood over it. So I'm looking for them and I found better things on Pinterest than I did on House.
Really? Huh.
Hmm.
Well, I have a French range. I can't remember the name though.
Yeah, you have starts with a C, Cornet something.
La
Cousette.
Cornue.
Yeah, I know what
La
you're talking about.
Cornet, yeah.
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 So back to the podcast. House I haven't been in for a long time. That's my whole job, if you haven't noticed, is just steering it back.
Redirection.
And if you'd like to, by the way, find it, you can just go to this nice little QR code or to remarkablepeople.com, and we'd love for you guys to download. This is a very, very interesting podcast, and one of the questions that I think I brought up is because he invented them, or he renamed the pound sign. You could say it either way. How often do you actually use hashtags? And this is Chris Messina that came up with this. He actually went to Twitter. They said no at first, and then
Right.
it kind of
They
was
said
adopted.
nobody would use it.
Yeah. So how often? So I was thinking about this. Like, how often do you use hashtags? I don't usually search by hashtags. I don't know if I'm like the odd man out, but do you use them, Peg? I know you're on Instagram
I
a
use them all
lot.
the time. I
Okay.
search for them because I use them. So I want to see, when I'm posting something on Instagram on Guy's account, is it, what hashtags is it going with? You don't want to use ones that have, so there's different use cases too, because you can use them on LinkedIn, you can use them on Twitter, you can use them no longer on Pinterest. Was no, then
Yeah.
yes, then no for
Yeah.
Pinterest. So I do
sorry.
use them and I search for things. And also I follow hashtags on Instagram and Twitter. So I'll see things that are related to those.
But if you weren't a marketing maven, and would you do that? Like when in your personal, I mean,
And
I
my
think
personal use, I use it even more. Like
Okay.
say I'm going on a trip. When I went to Italy and I was going to be in Milan, I researched places where I want to take photos. I found specific times of day that I wanted to take the photos. Then I used my little golden hour app and timed it. So I had to be at this museum at a certain time. Rich loved it.
Wait,
Yeah,
what's that got to do with hashtags?
I found all the places that I
Right.
want to take photos of on hashtags.
No, but what hashtag would you use to find a place to take photos in Milan?
I think I had a whole bunch of different groups that I found that was like Milan. It was not your basic ones, but it was like sunset in Milan, and so I found like photos that I like. It's a cool way to find like you can even do it locally. You're in Santa Cruz, you could like look for Santa Cruz sunset, for example, and see like specific places where people took photos. But
And
I
what
got some really
platform?
great photos.
Or hashtag
What
guy
platform
surfing.
am I using this hashtag on to do this?
Instagram. I did that on Instagram.
You can do them on all of them except Pinterest, like Twitter, Facebook.
Yeah, but I mean,
LinkedIn.
you find different things. I think LinkedIn people are only sort of using hashtags, and you see people that are kind of putting too many, like Instagram. I think really the hashtag use is like 5 or 6 max anywhere now. For a while, it was up to 30, but even Instagram came out and said just use 5 to 6.
I do know
Good one.
Instagram. It does make a difference if you use hashtags, and you do get a boost on your posts. So
And they did finally come out and say that it's better if it's in the direct post versus putting them in the comments. That was
right.
one of the things that people always said, put it in the comments because it'll help. But they actually just want it all in one thing. So if you want to do them on Instagram, use 5 to 6 and put them right in the description.
What about you, Guy? Do you search with hashtags?
Never. I never search for anything. Basically,
Guy doesn't use hashtags. I go in and back clean up on his posts and like add
that's
a
right.
location and I put
That's right.
hashtags.
And people on the outside looking in says, "My God, Guy really understands how to use hashtags. Oh, if they only knew."
So I guess Peg would
Fair
have to
play.
answer this question. Jonathan asked, what platform is most effective for hashtags? Would you say it'd be Instagram still?
I would say Instagram, yes, but also, but LinkedIn,
Yeah.
LinkedIn is up and coming. Things trend on LinkedIn, and sometimes they pull posts and share that, and they make it like a news story. One of my friends, Sarah Hawkins, who's an attorney, she shares very relevant information about like copyright laws and things like that, and people follow her for that. And one of her stories got pulled up and was in the story that they were featuring. So she got a lot of visibility from that. And Andy Crestodina is another
Yeah.
person who he uses hashtags, and his stuff really does well.
He's super
I
smart.
see. Yeah, he's very smart.
So, okay, that same question, but Jonathan says, do you follow hashtags outside of IG? So they don't
I
work
follow him on
really,
Twitter.
they don't
You
really
can
work
follow
cross-platform, though. I mean, like one hashtag may not mean the same on another platform, would it?
No, well, they could be the same or they could be different. So if you're going to use a hashtag, it's always a good idea to check it on the different platforms. But you can follow hashtags on Twitter, LinkedIn, and
Instagram.
Instagram. So I do that because then I see more things that I like in my feed. So specifically, I like to see what other podcasts are posting. So I'll, follow a couple things so I
Mm-hmm.
can see what people are posting.
Yeah. So hashtags, Chris Messina, we have to thank for that, the guest on
Hmm.
today's episode of the podcast.
Which mhm.
Which
I
I
was
just
going
went
to say was
blurry.
an open source, an open source idea that he created. He
That,
obviously doesn't make any money for that. So it was just a great idea that he shared to make the community better.
and that leads right into the last question that I wanted to talk about was, do you use open source software? Some people may not even know if they use open source software before, but I really wanted to know how Guy thought about open source, because Apple, of course, is definitely not open source. So is there like
Apple is
I don't even know
paranoid
how it
source.
works. Is there like a love-hate relationship between the open source people and the, for-profit
Probably.
people? What are your thoughts on open source, Guy?
I'm all about. I believe in the more people pounding on keyboards, making your stuff good, the better. And the concept that only your company understands how to make this right is kind of just not believable to me. But having said that, I'm not exactly an engineer or programmer, but I'm a supporter.
Well, we've had two different people. We've got Chris Messina, and then we had the guy who did RSS, who was on a couple.
Dave Weiner.
Dave Weiner. Yeah, I mean, they're both big open source, and it's almost like, it sounded from Chris like it's almost like a religion. Like they're doing it for the greater good. They have this mission in their life to do this because it's going to help as many people as possible, and they want to get it out there.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like Apple's mission.
But then those are also the people who haven't made as much money over their careers. Not that that should be your goal, but
Right. But
Chris
they're
was
not in
like,
it for the
"Hey,
money.
it's just me." No, they're not.
At least
But
originally, they're not. They're like, dang
still
it,
have
I
to
wish I
pay
would.
rent.
Yeah.
Still have to pay
Our
rent.
podcast is open source, right? You can download it. We put the transcript up. I mean, how much more can we give you?
Yeah. Podcasts are one of and that was from Dave Weiner because of RSS, because it's built on the back of that. I mean, you think about all the stuff that open source has done, blogs, podcasting, the hashtag search. Yeah. All this stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But people have made whole careers from it. I mean, like podcasting, you see podcasts that like get picked up, then it's a Netflix show or a YouTube channel that's picked up for Instagram, whatever. I mean, it's interesting how people take things and make them into other things and figure out a way to make a living doing that.
I remember back in the day having to try to all these steps to get a podcast downloaded on your like Zoom or Zero, whatever that Dell MP3 player that was a knockoff of the iPod or was or whatever, and just the steps you had to do and how it eventually went. I mean, I remember waiting for things to draw, downloading, BBS boards.
So here's an interesting theoretical question. So don't you think that if Amazon made it so you could read your book on any device, they would sell more books?
Probably.
I don't know anymore if that would be true.
Well, there's a free Kindle app, so you can.
Yeah, you can read it on your iPhone.
Yeah, but you can't read it on your Remarkable.
You can convert. You can actually do it. You can actually send it. Well, you can't buy a book and read on your Remarkable.
Yeah.
You'd have to convert it to a PDF, and I don't think they'd let you do that.
No.
Yeah.
But okay, like specifically, why would Amazon not let Remarkable? If let's say I legitimately bought an Amazon Kindle book and I want to read it on my Remarkable tablet, what? This because Amazon wants to sell more Kindles, I guess.
I think they wanted to dominate the platform. I don't know if it's because you can like read it on your iPhone for free. You don't have to buy I read a lot of stuff on my iPad because I can take notes on it. That's one of my favorite things to do is take notes. And so, and that's the free app. So, of course, I have a Kindle that I use all the time too. But doesn't matter. But yeah, that's an interesting point. I think it's probably because they wanted to dominate the ebook market.
Right.
The hardware market.
And keep it closed.
Well, I think ebook. I think they wanted to be the ebook person, and then that's why also they bought Audible, and all that stuff. So I think they just wanted to dominate it. Anything to do with books.
Does domination mean you sell the most ebooks or you sell the most readers, hardware readers?
I think it's ebooks. I think they went to kill the ebook. They wanted to own ebooks because they already owned publishing.
But the thing is, if you have to buy the ebook anyway, why not offer it in two versions? One that you can do here and one you can get a PDF to put wherever.
Because they can track it and sell you other things. It's like anything else, I think.
They can still track it if you buy it.
Yeah. But it's really weird. They still have to do all the back end stuff so they don't pay. Like, I can't go to the Amazon app and buy an ebook. I have to go through the Amazon website on my phone.
Right.
Because
it's total bullshit, if you ask me. That is just total freaking Apple
because
bullshit.
They don't want to do the 30% thing.
Right. That's like the same person who decided not to put a hole in the Apple tag is the person who said, "Oh, you can't buy books from the Amazon app on iOS." It's the same bullshit thinking. You want to know how I really feel?
That's right. So, open source software, Chris Messina, today. I mean, it was to hear his passion about open source. I mean, it really did open my eyes on how intense and the reason behind open source. I just thought it was two dudes in a garage and they just like, hey, let's just throw it out there, But it's like a whole movement of like, we're doing this for the greater good. And so I thought that was really interesting in the podcast that I always get little nuggets that I wasn't expecting from Guy's interview. And it's just not me. I'm sure that's other people too. So that's a good question we should ask. Like, what is the biggest takeaway you have gotten from the podcast?
Each episode?
Or what any episode? Like, man, like I would love to know if you guys are listening. Let us know, and we'll make sure we read it next week. But let us know. Like, even would be great if you go leave us a review and say, I really liked this episode because of, and let us know why. Because that would be interesting.
You know what? Can I point out, like, if we were really doing this podcast right, in my humble opinion, we have great guests, we have great editing, we have great sound design, we have everything, but we do not have the ability to build a community around Remarkable People podcast. There should be a community of people saying, like what Jeff just asked, this is the thing I learned most, or the most interesting thing I learned from Chris Messina. If we had a community would also, we could tell them, okay, so these are the people, this is our schedule for interviews. I'm interviewing Pat Flynn this afternoon. So people in the community could write the questions they think I should ask Pat Flynn. I could, tap the wisdom of the crowd. But right now, I really don't have a way to do that.
We could do that. I'm telling you.
How do we do
that? He's the OG podcaster. I think he started podcasting when it first started. Is Lou Mangello when he started doing his stuff. And he's got a huge community.
How did he do? Yeah.
He just started. Well, one, he uses live, which we were doing, but he also he does stuff in the Facebook group where he asks questions. He uses Facebook a lot.
Should we do that?
You don't have to do it on Facebook.
You just asked the question though. So anybody who's live right now, if you have a question for Pat Flynn, who is an amazing podcaster and YouTuber, he's done pivots. He has classes.
He's invented
a speaker.
Things. Yeah.
He's what?
Invented things. Did you say that?
Yeah, he's an inventor.
Whatchamacallit, tripod thing.
Yeah.
Switch pod. Switch pod. So if you have questions for Pat Flynn, tag Guy at Guy Kawasaki and say, ask Pat this. If you probably do hashtag Ask Pat, he'll probably see it because he has a podcast and YouTube channel called Ask Pat.
Mm-hmm.
So
Jonathan says you're building it through this very chat. Create a Facebook page or forum.
Yeah.
You know, if we didn't want to do Facebook, we could also do what is the other one? Michael Hyatt uses it. There's another platform that you can use to build things on. So yeah, I mean, we
have built communities before for on Google Plus specifically. We never did Facebook groups, but
what the plus?
Facebook groups, they have an algorithm on there and they don't show everybody things. And honestly, it's a lot of you entertaining people versus people seeing things that you post. That's the thing.
There's some great communities inside of groups, but once again, you're building platform on rented land, and you never know when Facebook's going to start charging. So I can see both sides of it.
There must be a solution to this problem.
We could create a forum somewhere else. So, and Jonathan asked, what happened to Blab, the video podcast app? There was a lot of stuff in there. Blab pretty much blew it, is what I think. Is they they didn't follow. I mean, because there was so many people on there that were really interesting. Yeah, Jonathan says, where's your audience at? Hanging out. Put your forum there.
AOL.
You've got mail.
CompuServe.
Oh, Sue goes, maybe you should have a hashtag for this community.
We do. It's called hashtag Remarkable People. I use it all the time.
Yeah. We should ask our community what they would want. If they would want do they want a Facebook community, or would they want, Twitter communities is actually rolling out pretty soon. There's some other things, but there's some other a lot of people build them. Gosh, I can't even remember. It's a membership, not a membership thing, but it's
I don't want to do a membership
Discord.
thing.
Discord is another big one they do.
Discord is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been there. The kids use Discord. Do your kids use that, Guy?
I use Discord.
I'm in constant Discord with them. What is Discord?
It's like Slack for gamers is the easiest way to say it.
Right. It's a communication tool that they use when they don't.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
They use it.
But it's really popular. Some people use Slack channels. LinkedIn groups are dead. I just don't think they're even worth it anymore. Too spammy. But yeah, we could definitely think about having a platform, because it would be really cool to crowdsource questions.
Yeah.
It would. But it does take a long time to build it up. That's the thing. I mean, even on Google Plus, it took a long time to, you build up the community, and then so Facebook, we never did a group in that because of that. It's just
so Jonathan has a great point. He goes, decision via communities is chaotic. Dictate it to us. So he just wants to be told where to go. So
okay, Jonathan, if we ever decide, we'll let you know. But we do use hashtag Remarkable People. So if you share the podcast, use hashtag Remarkable People, because I do retweet them from Guy's account when I see them if people are sharing it. So
yeah.
And we would appreciate that.
And also, we would appreciate you guys leaving us a rating review. If you have not done that already, if you have, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. It does help get the podcast out there and helps us think about starting a community. We'll just have to see. But just hold up your smartphone to this or go to remarkablepeople.com and give us a rating and review. So Jonathan says go to TikTok.
Right.
He goes,
TikTok,
call the TikToks and tell them who you are. Yeah. You've done a TikTok, haven't you, with your daughter? I think I remember seeing that.
I did one.
Yeah.
One and done.
All right.
Oh, my light is falling down.
Uh-oh. So, any follow-up questions, Peg? Did I cover everything? Did I ask all the questions that we wanted to talk?
I think so, yeah. I mean, basically, if you guys are interested in technology, this is a really interesting peek behind Silicon Valley and why people choose to do things the way they do, open source or monetized or, it was a good one.
And next week, I'll just tease that it is one that you would not think about ever. I would have never thought that this would be an episode.
Guys, who is it?
But it's Olympia Yarger. But it's fascinating. It's another one that's just fascinating to me. So make sure to subscribe so you'll get notifications that when we have new episodes at remarkablepeople.com, because this one is just I could have not picked this out of a lineup or anything. It's like, but it is really fascinating, and it has to do with sustainability, and it goes from PTSD military stuff to this other thing, and it's just like, what? And it's really good. So teasing that out right now. Yeah,
I had no idea. I mean,
yeah.
So you know the scene in The Graduate where Mr. Robinson says plastics.
I think the future is plastics, Ben.
Yeah.
The future is maggots.
Yes. So that, I mean, I like I said, never would have thunk, but it's really, really good. It's really good. So Steven says he is watching this on the smartphone. So see, we got people
obviously
over on YouTube. Yeah, very cool. Thank you, Steven.
Obviously, he didn't lose his smartphone or have water damage like mine.
I thought they're waterproof.
Not if you don't have the SIM tray in.
Oh, well, that would not. That would break the agreement there.
Such a dumbass I am.
All right, guys, you can let you hashtag.
I am a dumbass.
I broke my wife's
Please
phone.
don't. That's not going to be our community at all. So, Guy, I'll let you have the last word before we sign off.
Just another great week. It's been fun. So, yeah, please subscribe, listen to it, review it. Send me questions. I have 2 hours before I interview Pat Flynn, YouTuber, podcaster, blogger. His most famous probably content effort is oh my God, what is it, Peg?
Smart passive income. Smart passive income.
It's smart passive income. Duh. Yes, smart passive income. And the first question I'm going to ask him is, why do you call it passive? You work so hard.
Good question.
Good question.
See,
That's
beat
right.
that question, everybody. Send Guy your question.
Right.
See if it can be.
Yeah, so you can tweet it, tag Guy, or you can put it in the comments on LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook, wherever you're watching. Yep.
So Paul says, thanks for joining me on my walk through the forest. Glad you found your way out, Paul. Thank you. And he goes, great podcast. Well, thanks, Paul. If you haven't rated and reviewed us, we would love you guys. He'd love you to do that. So with that, we'll see you guys next week. Make sure to go to remarkablepeople.com. Check it out. And with that, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.